we'll start with the next topic, that is appendicitis. So what is appendicitis? So appendicitis, it is nothing but inflammation of the appendix. Okay, inflammation of the vermiform appendix. Okay, appendicitis, it is usually inflammation of the vermiform appendix, a small lymphoid or tubular blind sac at the end of cecum. So appendicitis, it is usually inflammation of the vermiform appendix, a lymphoid, small lymphoid or a tubular blind sac at the end of the cecum. Okay, tubular blind sac at the end of the cecum. So appendicitis, it is usually the inflammation of the vermiform appendix, a small lymphoid and a tubular sac, a blind sac at the end of the cecum. So this is most common emergency surgery in children and adolescent. It is the most common cause of emergency surgery in the children and the adolescent. So what is appendicitis? Appendicitis, it is the inflammation of the vermiform appendix, a small lymphoid and a tubular blind sac at the end of the cecum. Okay, at the end of the cecum. So this is usually the common cause of emergency surgery in the children and adolescent. Okay, it is the common cause of emergency surgery in the children and the adolescent. So what are the causes? And this appendicitis, it is not so common under the 4 years of age. Okay, it is not so common under 4 years of age, but it is caused in young children. It is associated with the perforation of the, which is a high frequency of perforation. Okay, in young children it is associated with high frequency of perforation. It is like where it is more difficult to diagnose. Okay, where it is most difficult to diagnose. So that is, it is less common under 4 years of age of child, but in young children it is associated with high frequency of perforation, which makes the diagnosis difficult. Okay, which makes the diagnosis difficult. So that is usually appendicitis. So appendicitis, it is inflammation of the vermiform appendix. Appendicitis is the inflammation of the vermiform appendix, a small lymphoid and a tubular sac at the end of the cecum. Okay, a tubular sac at the end of the cecum. So this is the most common cause of emergency surgery in the children as well as in the adolescent. So this appendicitis, it is less common under 4 years of age children, but it is quite common in young children. It is associated with high frequency of perforation, which makes the diagnosis difficult. Okay, which makes the diagnosis difficult. So that is usually there. So next we will see about this causes of appendicitis. So causes of appendicitis, it can be due to the impact of fecal matter or any infection through parasites. Okay, any infection by parasites, or in case of any infection due to any viral infection that usually makes the lymphoid swollen, or in case of foreign bodies. Okay, the causes, it can be due to any viral infection which makes the lymphoid swelling, impacted fecal matter, and in case of foreign bodies, and in case of parasitic infection. Okay, so these are usually the causes of this appendicitis. So causes of appendicitis, it can be due to viral infection which makes the lymphoid swollen. Next is in case of impacted fecal matter. Next it can be due to parasites, and also in case of foreign bodies. So that is usually about the causes of appendicitis. So next is pathophysiology. So in case of pathophysiology, so mainly it might be when it can be due to any cause. Okay, it can be due to any cause where it leads to obstruction. Okay, it can be due to any cause that usually leads to obstruction, and due to this obstruction the intralumen pressure increased. Okay, due to this obstruction intralumen pressure increases. So this can be due to any cause that usually leads to obstruction, and due to this obstruction intralumen pressure increases. Okay, due to this obstruction intralumen pressure increases. Okay, due to this obstruction intralumen pressure increases. That usually decreases the venous return. Okay, that usually decreases the venous return. So that is due to any cause that usually leads to obstruction. When there is obstruction, it usually increases the intralumen pressure, and when this pressure increases, it decreases the venous return. And when the venous return is decreased, okay, when the venous return is decreased, thrombosis and edema of the wall is seen. Okay, thrombosis and edema of the wall is seen. And when there is thrombosis and edema, that usually leads to bacterial invasion of the bowel wall. Okay, that usually leads to bacterial invasion of the bowel wall. Okay, that usually leads to bacterial invasion of the bowel wall. Then the obstruction continues. Okay, then the obstruction continues. That usually leads to rupture of appendix and perforation is there. Okay, that usually leads to rupture of appendix as well as perforation. That usually leads to peritonitis and sepsis. Okay, that usually leads to peritonitis and sepsis. So that is pathophysiology when the appendix become like it occurs due to any cause. Okay, it usually occurs due to any cause that usually leads to obstruction. When there is obstruction, it usually increases the intralumen pressure, and when intralumen pressure is increased, that usually leads to decrease in the venous return, and when the venous return decreases, that usually leads to thrombosis and edema of the wall. And when there is thrombosis and edema, bacteria starts invading the bowel wall. Okay, bacteria starts invading the bowel wall. That usually leads to abscess formation. Okay, that usually leads to abscess formation. When there is abscess formation, that obstruction continues. Okay, when there is abscess formation, obstruction continues, and when the obstruction continues, then there is rupture of the appendix and perforation starts beginning, and that usually leads to peritonitis and sepsis. Okay, that usually leads to peritonitis and sepsis. Okay, this is usually about this pathophysiology of appendicitis. So what is happening? So due to any cause, okay, due to any cause there is obstruction. When there is obstruction, intralumen pressure increases. When intralumen pressure increases, it decreases the venous return, and when venous return is decreased, it leads to thrombosis and edema of the wall, and when there is edema of the wall, that usually leads to bacterial invasion to the bowel wall. The bacteria start invading the bowel wall, and when bacteria starts invading the bowel wall, abscess starts forming. Okay, abscess starts forming. When abscess starts forming, that usually leads to appendix, rupture of the appendix and perforation, and that usually leads to peritonitis and sepsis. Okay, that usually leads to peritonitis and sepsis. Okay, so this is usually about this pathophysiology of appendicitis. So what is appendicitis? Appendicitis is nothing but inflammation of the vermiform appendix, small lymphoid as well as tubular sac, malign sac at the end of the cecum. So causes, it can be due to parasites, viral infection, fecal matter impaction by fecal matter, and foreign bodies. So that is usually about this thing. So next is symptoms. So cardinal symptoms of appendicitis, it is usually pain. Okay, so that is pain. It increases, progresses when the appendicitis, like inflammation progresses, intensity also increases, and also it usually seen in the right quadrant of the McBurney's point. Okay, it is usually seen at the right quadrant of the lower right lower quadrant of the McBurney's point. So main symptom, it is pain, and the pain, it is usually seen or localized at the right lower quadrant of the McBurney's point. Okay, right lower quadrant at the McBurney's point. See other symptoms, it is mainly nausea, vomiting, anorexia, diarrhea, constipation, fever, and chills. So the main symptom which is usually seen, okay, the main symptom that is usually seen, it is pain. Okay, the main symptom, it is usually pain. It progresses and intensity increases. Okay, it progresses and intensity increases. So where is the pain usually seen? Where is the pain usually felt? It is felt at the right lower quadrant at the McBurney's point. The other symptoms include fever, chills, nausea, vomiting, anorexia, diarrhea, and constipation. Okay, these are the symptoms of appendicitis. So what are the symptoms of appendicitis? Symptoms mainly it includes the main symptom, it is pain. So this is usually seen in the right lower quadrant of at the McBurney's point. The other symptoms that is usually seen in this, it is mainly fever, chills, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, as well as anorexia. So these are usually the symptoms of this appendicitis. So next is diagnosis. So how we go with diagnosis of this? So diagnosis, it is mainly seen like localizing the pain. Okay, so mainly we go with localizing the pain at the McBurney's point. Okay, so mainly by assessment, like pain is assessed. Okay, mainly where pain is assessed. So by this, when pain is there at the McBurney's point, we can confirm that the person is suffering from appendicitis. So in this mainly we will be localizing the pain. Okay, so in this mainly we go with localizing the pain. So next is WBC count is assessed. Okay, checked. Okay, WBC count, it is usually assessed. Then ultrasound examination is done where we can see the enlargement of the appendix. So it is usually there, and then CT scan of the abdomen. Okay, CT scan of the abdomen. So that is usually about the diagnostic examination that we do in order to confirm with appendicitis. Mainly we go with localizing the pain at the McBurney's point. Then we go with CT scan, abdominal scan, and then we go with WBC count will be assessed. So this is usually of the diagnostic findings that usually we go with confirming with appendicitis. So what are the diagnostic tests we go? Pain will be localized at the McBurney's point. Then we go with abdominal ultrasound. Then we go with CT scan. Then we go with WBC count will be assessed. So that is usually about this diagnostic evaluation. So next is management. So mainly management depends upon the child's age, symptom, as well as general health. So mainly the treatment mainly depends upon the child's age, symptoms, as well as the general health. So management, the mainly treatment depends upon the child's age, symptoms and general health. So what is that? Mainly this appendicitis, it is a serious deadly infection. So therefore immediately surgery should be done to remove the appendix. Okay, immediately appendix. So therefore the treatment mainly depends upon the child general health, age and symptoms, and it is usually a deadly infection. So therefore immediately surgery has to be done. So normally before surgery antibiotics will be given to the child as well as IV fluids will be given. So before the surgery the child will be given antibiotics as well as IV fluids will be given. So what is the surgical procedure that is performed? It is mainly first is open or traditional surgery and the next is laparoscopic surgery. Okay, open or traditional surgery and the next is laparoscopic surgery. So in case of open or traditional surgery, the child will be given anesthesia. Okay, the child will be given anesthesia. A cut or incision is made in the lower right hand side of the belly. So anesthesia will be given, then a cut or incision will be made at the lower right side of the belly. Then the surgeon finds the appendix and removes it. The surgeon finds the appendix and removes it. And if this appendix is already burst, okay, if the appendix is already burst, a small tube or shunt will be placed. Okay, a small tube or shunt will be placed to drain out the pus. Okay, small tube or shunt will be placed to drain out the pus as well as the other fluids from the belly. Okay, as well as the other fluids from the belly, and the shunt will be taken out after few days. Okay, the shunt will be taken out after few days. So that is usually what happens. So treatment mainly depends upon the child's age, symptom and general health. Okay, the treatment usually depends upon the child's age, symptoms as well as general health. So as this appendix, it is a deadly infection, immediately the surgery has to be performed. Okay, immediately the surgery has to be performed. So what is the surgery that they go with? Open or traditional surgery or laparoscopic surgery. So in case of open and traditional surgery, what is done? Before the surgery, okay, before giving the surgery, the baby will be given antibiotics and IV fluids will be connected. So what are this in this open or traditional surgery? What is done is that child will be given anesthesia, and then the surgeon makes an incision at the lower right hand side of the belly. Then the surgeon finds the appendix and removes it. If this appendix is not bursted, then this procedure is done. Like if appendix is bursted inside only, the appendix gets bursted inside the abdomen, then the surgeon places a shunt. Okay, then surgeon places a shunt so that this shunt is placed for few days so that the pus as well as the other fluids which is present in the belly will be removed, and then after complete removal of the pus and the fluids, the shunt will be removed. Okay, the shunt will be removed. So this is about this open or traditional method of surgery. So next is laparoscopic surgery. So in case of this laparoscopic surgery, so in this usually a small incision will be made. Okay, this is usually a small incision is made with the help of camera, that is usually looks at inside the belly. Then the surgical tools are placed through that is usually what happens. The surgical tools are placed inside the incision and the appendix is removed. Okay, the appendix is removed. But this type of surgery cannot be performed if the appendix is already busted. Okay, if the appendix is already busted. So the second type of surgery that is usually performed, it is laparoscopic surgery. So in this a small incision is made with the help of a camera, where through this incision a small surgical tools will be placed and the appendix is removed. But this type of surgery cannot be performed if the appendix is bursted before. So if the appendix is bursted, then we have to use the open or traditional method, where we will be placing a shunt and we will be removing the pus and the fluids from the belly. So this is usually about the management that is usually done. So that is mainly about this. So mainly immediately this is, as appendicitis is usually a deadly infection. So immediately surgery has to be performed, and this surgery it mainly depends upon the child's age, symptoms as well as the general health. So before doing the surgery, like the baby should be given antibiotics, the child should be given antibiotics as well as IV therapy should be started. And the surgery mainly they go with open and traditional surgery and laparoscopic surgery. So this is about this management of appendicitis, and this is about this appendicitis. So appendicitis is nothing but inflammation of the vermiform appendix, and then lymphoid, a small lymphoid as well as tubular blind sac of the cecum. So this is common in young children, but it is not common below 4 years, and if at all if it is there in the young children, it usually perforation develops. So then it makes the diagnosis difficult. So causes, it can be due to any viral infection where it makes the lymphoid tissue swelling, and then lymphoid swelling, then it can be due to impaction of fecal matter, then it can be due to parasitic infection, and also it can be due to any foreign body. Symptoms mainly they have pain at the right lower quadrant at the McBurney's point. Other symptoms it might be nausea, vomiting, fever, chills, anorexia, constipation and diarrhea. So diagnosis we go with X-ray, ultrasound, by WBC count will be checked and the pain will be localized at the McBurney's point. So management mainly we go with surgery, that is open or traditional surgery where incision will be made and the appendix will be removed, or if appendix is bursted then we go with placing a shunt and removing the pus and fluids. And the other is laparoscopic. So through laparoscope to primary we will make a small incision and through this surgical tools will be placed and the appendix will be removed. So this is usually about this appendicitis.